It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello. How you guys doing? Yeah. Yes. How you doing, Nima?
I'm fine. Okay, let's just start with the shout-out. So, Kamal Razak wants me to shout out to his mom, Latifat Razak. He says that I should say thank you to her for all that she's been doing and all that she's done for him since he was born. He's based in Dubai. He says he appreciates her and loves her. Thank you, ma. Okay. But I'm also share our condolences with our colleague and our director, Buki Abdusalam. She lost her son, Bishop Abdusalam, this morning.
Oh, God.
He was in the hospital and he was sick.
It was really sad. He's so rest in peace. It was really sad when the entire crew is really down. I mean, it was sad to hear it. We tried to see her and speak to her later in the day, but our hearts are with her and our prayers are with her and her family at this time. How are you doing, Maya?
Good. So we have more shout-outs for birthdays. There's Lola B. Girl says, my daughter's birthday was on Sunday, and since she requested for a birthday shout-out for her son, her daughter also wants to hear her name. So her daughter is Naomi Oluwanifemi Eze. Oluwanifemi Eze. She's 8 years old, and happy birthday, Naomi. We have one more person, Peace Akuma. She says that her daughter also will be turning 11. She wants us to tell her happy birthday. She says, I love you beyond words. Aww. And we'll celebrate after London comes out of lockdown. So happy birthday.
London is in a serious lockdown. All the people that I know that are there, they're like, hey, Mariah, they are just in the house. They don't leave that house. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. So let me still do a shout out. So today is Adedayo Faleye's birthday. His wife, Bumi Faleye, says we should wish the husband a happy birthday. They are actually huge fans of Your View, so happy birthday, Mr. Bumi, Mr. Adedayo Falaye. God bless you, riches and everything. But yesterday, I went to see the movie Amotekun.
That
movie is good. No, I went to cinema. And they started selling out in cinema. Yes. There was a lot of social distancing.
We tried to go watch
masks on
yesterday, and the crowd chased us.
That movie is packed. Action. That's like my best action movie of all times in Nigeria. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't want to say so much, but that movie was the betrayal, the friendship, the family, everything to her. She did it. My husband was like this in the cinema. He's a critic. For him to say at best I've seen when it comes to action movies in Nigeria. She did a wonderful job.
Okay, I've not seen it, but I'll definitely go see. We actually wanted to go see it yesterday. We got to the cinema, it was crowded. We now went to Maryland, it was also crowded. We just went back with this coronavirus. So somebody had sent me a birthday shout-out for her mother. Her mother was 90 on Saturday. She's actually Jennifer Emanuela. She says her mother is Mrs. Philomena Oluwole Emmanuel. She was 90 on Saturday. Happy birthday, Ma.
Happy birthday,
many more years, strength and peace of mind. You know, when you have children who are doing well, you just have that peace of mind. So our prayers are with you. God bless you.
God bless you,
and also, so that's, I mean, it's not really that kind of hip Mondays because, you know, it's really, it's not easy when you have a colleague who's lost someone. So, I mean, losing a child is a horrible experience. It's not something anybody wants to experience at all. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with the nation. COVID-19, government to spend $8 each on vaccine for 144 million people. 350 businessmen firms owe AMCON 3.6 trillion naira. Governors, leaders canvass unity at Obiozo's election. Varsity workers begin 3-day strike over allowances. Amotekun, Mieti Allah in joint action against bandits. And thugs attack senator, others at Osun APC meeting. Okay.
I got the major headlines.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Nigeria may need to raise about will be spending about $576 million to procure vaccinations for COVID. And I think we had discussed this earlier, where Gavi was giving us enough vaccines to cover about 20% of our population. So Nigeria has to raise the money to cover for about 70% of our population. And they're saying that they would not be using China, but they're talking with Russian authorities to see how, that's where they're getting the alternative vaccines, apart from the one that will be given by Pfizer and Gavi. So they're not working with Pfizer or China, but they're working with Russian authorities to see how we can get vaccines. And they're just asking, okay, you want to ask
They also reeled out conditions which included the coaching for state governors to, to receive. They've listed Kano, Lagos, and one other state as the first major states to get the vaccine, and listed the number of vaccines that will be going per state. But some conditions require that the state governments should have facilities in place to take it, because once opened, it must be used within 5 days. Shelf life is 5 days.
Okay, so the 350 businessmen, who has that story?
No, I have
or
the university.
Go ahead.
Okay, so non-teaching staff members of public universities will begin a protest, a 3-day protest from tomorrow. They were upset about the fact that the federal government had, out of the 40 billion promised to share to the universities, had given 75% of that amount to the teaching staff, and they are saying that the 25% was not. They didn't even spell out how they were to share it. So they also had other issues concerning the IPPS payment platform. They are still talking about their arrears that have not been paid, the minimum wage adjustment that have not been given, and they are saying that after these 3 days, if the federal government does not respond to them, they would down tools and go on a while. As in, when you settle this, you start having conversations.
But there's a bottom story in the nation I would love to talk about. 350 businessmen owe over 3.something trillion. That's what we over the amount we are using to service debts already in the country. I can identify these 350 businessmen and should please go after them as quickly as possible, because big man on loan is affecting us. We're constantly borrowing. Now Serap has sued that federal government should not access people's pensions and savings and what's it called, dividends. So please, we should face the one that is legal. We know the businessmen, all the businesses, because they're corporate entities.
There are ways to trace that employ lots of people. So you do not want to chase them to the point that they have to close down, and then you
have a structure where they at least pay something. Then go after other funds that are just lying around. These people are running their businesses on people.
And these are big debts. These are not small. Big debts. So they need to at least have a payment plan.
Business, actually.
Okay, let's move on to Daily Sun. Research on Nigerian embassies in disarray. Ohaneze Nwodo hands over to Obiozo after election win. I am alive, says Christian Chukwu. Southeast leaders determined to fight for 2023 presidency. Ex-Reps Deputy Speaker Ngoroje loses 7 family members in road crash. PDP Serap kick over federal government's plan to borrow from dormant accounts and unclaimed dividends. And FG conditions for states to access COVID-19 vaccines. Yes.
So Obiozo finally emerged the Ohaneze Ndigbo leader, even though there were allegations that there was a parallel election happening somewhere in Imo again. But this election was done in Owerri, and all the leaders of the South-South, Southeast queued up behind Obiozo as their choice. My advice for them, because immediately we have started seeing messages of how they would fight for 2023 presidency, is for them to play politics. I'd hate to say it here like as if I'm endorsing, but go and learn from the man Ashiwaju. He seems to have the trick of, intertribal politics. So please, let's learn and play this politics. As they deserve it. I think it's about time it's their turn, but they should do it the right way.
Major headline. Yes. So there's a report that 97 Nigerian embassies and missions across the world are battling with issues of rent, payment of allowances, and maintenance of the mission. As a matter of fact, only 12 missions are functional. About 80 82 embassies are lying fallow without full representation across different countries. Now, the fear is if we do not have strong presence in those countries, we are likely going to be losing our goodwill in negotiating how people are being treated. Now, there were about 42 career ambassadors and 41 non-career ambassadors who are ready to be deployed, but nobody is saying anything concerning that. They submitted their name to the Senate, but nothing is being said. So they are saying that they will likely protest. I don't know how to put my
It's the second time I'm hearing something.
It's not even protest. It's our door to every country. So if our presence in those countries, imagine Nigeria was shot 6 times in Dublin. If we had our active embassies there, it's not something we should be discussing. Action should have been done. Taking.
The Punch. It's unsafe to reopen universities now. COVID-19 guidelines absent, says ASU. Lagos impounds 100 motorcycles on restricted routes. Greek APC members attack Oshu senator, vandalize vehicles. COVID-19 Ekiti imposes curfew, restricts gathering to 20. Varsity workers plan 3-day protest over IPPIS and 40 billion naira sharing. Hashtag NSAS 2.5 billion naira lost to 95-day Lekki toll gate closure. Contestants kick as Obiozo emerges Ohanes Indigo president. And oil nears $56. FG may reintroduce fuel subsidy. Electoral amendments won't guarantee free polls, says INEC. I have that story from INEC.
Go ahead.
INEC is saying that everybody is clamoring for the Electoral Act amendment, but that's not all that is required to actually have a free and fair election. And what you need are all the various stakeholders, the politicians, the state government, all the various parties must come together to agree that indeed they want a free and fair election. So aside from amending the act, you actually need participation from the stakeholders. That's pretty much what the act is.
Okay, so the senator representing Osun State West Senatorial District, Adelere Oriolowo, oh Lord. So he had gone for a constituency meeting in his constituency, and he was attacked just a few minutes as the meeting progressed. Assailants came in, they broke his windscreen. He had to be whisked away quickly with his entourage, and he escaped. He put it on Facebook, thanking God for his life. So they've said hoodlums, although the paper says aggrieved APC members. So were they hoodlums? Were they assassins? Were they members of the party that were aggrieved? And what was their grievance?
Okay.
Yeah, the major headline, yes. So the National Universities Commission had said that from the 18th of January, universities can open for resumption. But then the union of branches of the Academic Staff Union of Universities saying that that resumption cannot work because a lot of the schools are not even ready. They are not following the COVID-19 protocols. They are not ready. We still have hostels that are jam-packed, and they've talked about doing better infrastructure for these universities. This is the time that we had to, do something for them. So anybody who is ready to resume school at your own peril, and they also admonished parents to ensure that the school you are releasing your children to, they are ready to tackle COVID-19, as a lot of people are dying with the statistics given.
Okay, so final paper, Vanguard. COVID-19, Autumn isolates herself as Ekiti imposes curfew. Armed Forces Remembrance Day, Nigeria stronger together, says Osinbajo. Serap to Buhari, drop plan to borrow 895 billion naira on claimed dormant funds, and no clash between Amotekun Fulani in Ibarakwa. They will talk about Amotekun a bit later, but
Serap?
Yes,
yes. So Serap is saying to the federal government that they should rescind their plans to borrow from the 895 billion of unclaimed dividends and funds in dormant accounts, saying that it's the Financial Act of 2020 is actually very illegal because they're supposed to pay attention to the right of Nigerians, right over their property, and this borrowing now they had already exempted, so it's discriminatory because they've exempted government accounts, likely high-ranking official politicians, their accounts have been exempted. So you're just going to be focusing on borrowing from the poor, and they have a right to their property, whether they leave the money in their accounts or not. If nothing is done, they will likely be suing the federal government.
So we have to run. Unfortunately, we can't take any more papers, but let me say that sticks out to you.
Lamata explains why the light rail on the side of town is being delayed. They cited issues about around the recovery of some premises, some properties lying around, legal issues, a lot of that, and they've said they resume November for a second one, and hopefully we will see it work. I'm aware that the areas mentioned, that starting from Mile 2 to Marina, has been completed. I don't know why they've not started operation, but my fear is that the hoodlums using those properties, that's over 10 years now. I think the light rail started during Fashion last time, and it was abandoned by the last administration. They should please see to security around those places. A lot of people come into Lagos now, and that's their residents.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all we can take at this point. Let's go on a break. When we come back, because our hot topic, which is Kano State government recently started reducing the salaries of civil servants. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, the Kano State government recently started reducing the salaries, deducting actually, the salaries of its civil servants without prior notification. After some outrage from labor leaders and some civil servants in the state government issued a statement to their controversial action saying they have reverted back to the defunct 18,000 naira minimum wage due to the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the state revenue and the dwindling federal allocations. Joining us on the show is the chairman, Nigeria Labour Congress, Kano State Chapter, Mr. Kabir Minjibir. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Very, very good. Thanks for joining us this morning. So, the Kano State government have given out a press statement saying they reverted the 18,000 naira.
Thank you very much.
They reverted to the 18,000 naira minimum wage simply because they are unable to pay the current 30,000 naira as a result of the economic restrictions. They don't have the ability to make these payments, and also the dwindling federal allocation is not forthcoming. So in your view, do you think it's right for Labour to begin to pick this up, or to be more understanding of the government at this time?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. Let me say that always Labour regard government as a partner in progress, because without government there will be no workers, and without workers there will be no government. So Kano State, it was on record, is one of the first states in the Federation that started implementing the new minimum wage. Specifically, we started implementation in the month of December 2019, and with even an addition of 600 naira above the, what I'm trying to say is in 30,600 naira was the lowest pay in the state instead of 30,000. And Kano State is also one of the states that agrees to pay arrears of the minimum wage from April to November 2019 as done in the federal government. I think it's the only state in the country that so far agree on that, but it's going to be paid instrumentally. So we started the implementation in December without any hesitation until in the month of May, when the issue of COVID-19 pandemic bite harder, and there is this issue of COVID-19, the issue of lockdown. But unfortunately, instead of the government to invite the labor leaders to sit down and understand and see the books of account and find the way out, government decided to unilaterally revert back to 18,000 minimum wage. So once that was done in the month of May 2020, the UC and the leadership of joint public sector, other stakeholders in the labor that are not part of the labor, but they are also working within the state government, like the medical laboratory scientists, like we all come together and call the attention of government. And a committee was set up under the leadership of the secretary to the state government with the head of civil service and other top government officials in attendance. We included the Commissioner of Finance and the Commissioner for Local Government. We agree that a committee should be set up under the head of civil service, that whenever the federation allocation was released, we will sit down at that committee, look at our workforce, look at what came from the federation account, look at our IGR, and see if the salary can be paid within that 30,600 naira. And if it cannot be paid, then let us have an understanding that all the workers will be paid. Because in Kano State, we have never had a situation where we have a month without paying monthly pension or monthly salary. So we agree on that. We signed a document on that. But unfortunately, we did that in the months of July and June and July. And we agreed that 10% of basic salary should be deducted from the workers' salaries to be able to pay the salary. So in the month of August, all things went well, and the government continued to pay the 30,600 naira until in the month of November, when suddenly also government decided to go back to that 18,000 minimum wage, and without also the consent of the labor. So that is what brings tension in the state. And it went again in the month of December, and that is the situation we are in now.
Okay.
So that is why on Friday we have a press briefing on our position.
Right, okay.
So this is not the first time government has attempted this. It was done last year around May, where government tried to deduct some amount from workers' salaries. Is government in Kano genuinely stressed financially that you're aware of? Is Kano State government genuinely stressed financially?
Well, you know, the issue of stressful in terms of finances cannot be justified until when the books of account of the state government was clearly being put in place to the labor leaders to see what comes from the federation account, to see what is the IGR, and then to see the workforce that will show understanding. But to us, if we will be seeing capital projects being executed and all government activities are going normal and the political office holders involvement were not being taught, I think it is very hard for the labor leaders to understand the situation the government is. Because I could recall in that of the months of May, June and July, even the political office holders salary were reduced to 50%. So that clearly shows that the government has no money. But after this, our press briefing, and then we wrote a letter to the government, and I want to assure you that discussion has already commenced between the organized labor and the government. And the Commissioner of Information is on air on press briefing that the government is not trying to revert back to 18,000 minimum wage. They are still on the new minimum wage of 30,600, but it's only the situation that warranted this deduction. But discussion is ongoing with government.
Mr. Chairman, from what you explained, you already had a conversation pre these deductions, and it seemed that there was an agreement that government would have to do this when it needed to. So maybe could that be the reason why government did not think it had to come back to tell, workers that they were going to make those deductions, since it had already been discussed? So it's not mischievous, but just that they felt that we had discussed this, so this was something that you were aware that may happen in future.
Well, actually, from the discussion we have started with government, particularly, or to be precise, was His Excellency himself, because we were together with His Excellency yesterday night, and I think this is the first station that I am disseminating this information. There is really a communication gap between the government officials and His Excellency himself, because from the information His Excellency got is that there was an agreement between the labor leaders. There was a discussion, and we sat down together with them, and we agreed on the deduction. But basically what happens is that we sat down with the government officials on the deduction, and we tell them that until we were satisfied, or we go back to the Congress and tell them that this is the situation, then we will report back to them. So we agree on that. But before we go to the Congress and come back with our resolution, government started paying the salary, which His Excellency is not even aware from the discussion we did. He said, why the hurry? They tell him that since we sat down, that is the reason why they started paying the salary that is with our consent. But we told him that we asked him to give us a minute of the meeting, and we have not signed the minute of the meeting because that is not the agreement we did with them. So I think the issue of the communication gap has started to yield positive results.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still on Kano State issue concerning reducing the salary of civil servants back to the 18,000 naira minimum wage. Yes, PC had a question.
Yes, so, Chairman Kabir, you sound like you understand the plight of government. And I know that the Kano High Court had restrained the governor from further deductions of salaries of civil servants. Now, what is the way forward? Now that there's a restraining order, that means the salaries will not be touched anymore. What are your plans? Are you people going to continue having meetings? Are you going to allow the government open their books and probably revert to the 18,000 naira? What's the plan going forward?
Well, let me first and foremost correct you. It doesn't mean that it sounds, I understand, with government, because it's not personal. It has to be tabled before the different organs of the union. And it has to continue with other consultations and discussions. Then the majority will decide what is the way out. So concerning the issue of the court order, is the leadership of Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, which is JISUN, that went to court to restrain the Kano State government from touching their salary further. So that case still persists, and it is on the act of our discussion that will pave way on the way forward. So I think I just give you an overview of what is happening, and the discussion is ongoing. And we will continue to invite the organs meeting, what is the next line of action.
Don't you think it's asking too much when Labour is asking the government to open up their books for them? I mean, don't you think you're going beyond your boundaries, asking the government of Kano State to let you know indeed if they're able to pay salaries or not based on their economic status? Did you get that, Mr. Kabir? Hello, sir. Okay, it seems we've lost our guest. Maybe we'll go on a quick break and see if we can get him reconnected.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Hello, Mr. Kabir, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm still with you.
Yes,
Are you hearing me?
Yes, now we can hear you properly. Could you help me respond to that last question, please?
Okay, I am trying to say that minimum wage is a product of tripartite negotiation. The government side, the labor side, and the organized private sector side. So the law does not permit only one segment to unilaterally reverse to former minimum wage. And the minimum wage is sacrosanct in the established constitution. that it should be reviewed after every 5 years. So therefore, I think the issue of rebasing to 18,000 minimum wage does not even arise. So whatever we are doing it within the confines of the law. So we are not trying to go beyond our boundaries. It's for us to convince as a representative of workers so that we can go back and brief the workers whether the exact what the government is saying is quite true or not. So that is what we are trying to establish.
Right.
Okay, sir. Kano remains one of the largest industrial cities in Nigeria, and we have a lot of workers, we have a lot of factories around. Aside fighting government for civil servant salaries, what else is the labor union in Kano doing to ensure that their workers have better conditions for working and better, they are paid value for their services in those factories and other areas that we're not looking at?
What are the... Hello?
Hello, sir.
Did you get us?
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I didn't hear your last question.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Kano is a major industrial city in Nigeria, and we have labor.
Yeah.
They have free labor everywhere in Kano. What is labor union doing to fight for the rights of labor members in other workers in all of those factories around Kano?
You mean in the organized private sector setting?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
So,
Yes,
sir, just let me rephrase for you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I said, is it in the organized private sector?
Yes.
Yes.
And across, yes.
And are you doing more to capture the unorganized private sector?
Okay. I want to inform you that there is a private company in Kano, I don't want to name the company, that started even implementing the 30,000 minimum wage before the government implementation in December 2019. And the majority of the companies have already keyed into the 30,000 minimum wage because we have the leadership of the organized private sector, and they are doing their best to go around the companies to ensure compliance. So even in that sector, we are trying our best to see that the companies complied with the minimum wage of the 30,000 naira.
I think, in addition to Nima's question, I think what the issue is that we're so used to labor fighting for just minimum wage issues. Yeah. So she's asking that, what else are you doing in the state to ensure that your workers are getting value for their services, aside from the minimum wage factor? The issues of working conditions, the issues of the unions. What exactly is happening with your labor in that state?
Okay. Please, can you come?
Okay, unfortunately, we're having connection issues, so we have to wrap up at this point.
Come again.
Mr. Kabir, are you still there? Okay, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm hearing you now.
So did you get my question?
No, I didn't get your question, please.
So, sir, aside, minimum wage, there are other issues that labor should address, like casualization of workers in industries and factories, and, working conditions in some of those industries and factories. What is labor doing in Kano to, to see to those issues for labor workers?
Thank you very much for this question. Our leadership does not stop only on the issue of minimum wage and other welfares of workers. This issue of casualization actually is a very important issue that we took with utmost seriousness. When we came on board in our first tenure in office in 2015, we realized that majority of our industries in Kano use these casual workers, and we frown at it. And by doing that, we set up an anti-casualization and unionization committee, because since the workers are on casual basis, there will be no union. Therefore, the management of the industries decided to exploit the workers. So we now form a powerful committee under the first pioneer indigenous NLC chairman in Kano, who was late. May his soul rest in perfect peace. His name is Comrade Wada Waziri Ibrahim. And we put a lot of people, even myself, I'm a member in that committee. Then we have the representative of the police commissioner, representative of DSS, representative of government, and the representative of the Emirate Council. We have a very powerful committee, and we go around all the industries in the state that doesn't have unions and that are using casual workers. I think in the last 4 years, we were able to identify more than 80 companies in Kano that are using that casualization and without
Unfortunately, we need to wrap up at this time, but I think we got the message from what he's saying. That's all we can take on this. When we come back, we will move on to another topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, on this segment, we'll be reviewing the activities of Amotekun. Amotekun security outfit since its launch about a year ago. We want to focus on the impact, the success stories, and some of the worrisome reports. Our observations in recent times on some of the activities is sometimes contrary to what we actually planned for it to be. Joining us on the show now is the Director General of the commission behind the policy and birth of Amotekun, and he's the development for the Western Niger Dawn, Mr. Sheye Oyeleye. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning, ladies. I'm here. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Good to have you on the show. So, Amotekun in 1 year. It's important that we review the activities of that outfit, and because when it started, what we're told was that it was purely an intelligence gathering unit, and they're not likely to be carrying arms. But recently we've been hearing that they seem to have arms. Could you please clarify for us exactly what the status is with Amotekun?
Thank you very much. I'm not sure that they said it was going to be purely an intelligence gathering unit. What was said at the onset when it was conceived and launched was that it was also going to have an intelligence gathering unit, but it was always going to have boots on the ground. So when the personnel were being recruited, some were told we're going to be in the intelligence gathering unit, but a lot of them were going to be uniformed men that you and I will see on the road. Don't forget that it's a complementary thing to the police. So I need to clarify that from the onset. And if you're saying that some of them are carrying arms now, it's understandable because a certain level of type of arms they are allowed to carry. All they needed to do, the states needed to do, was to apply to the IGP, or the Inspector General of Police. And to a certain level, they have the type of arms they are allowed to carry.
Right.
Okay, so it's been 1 year. And I remember for many people, at the time that Amotekun was proposed, many people believed and wanted it to come in because of all the kidnappings and banditry happening in the region. So in the 1 year, would you say Amotekun has sort of filled that, those shoes and moved seamlessly into his role? Or what do you think the challenges are as they carry out their duties?
Thank you once again. Yes, it was launched in January, but I'd like to remind you that we all know what happened last year, Corona. We still have it around us, and I keep imploring everyone to stay safe all the time. The COVID pandemic delayed the actual takeoff. So even though it was launched in January, a lot of states did not commence recruitment until probably August, September. And you realize that the first state that actually launched out was Ondo State, and that was in August, after they had trained their people. So in real terms, yes, it was started in January, but the takeoff in the states, don't forget that this thing is state-based. Laws guarding Amotekun was passed in each of the 6 states. So they took off at different times. So in Ondo, it took off in August, in Ekiti, it took off in October, and Oyo only took off recently in November. In fact, those are the 3 states that are active. I know that Ogun State is taking off this month. At some point this month, Ogun State will be taking off. What I'm trying to say is that, yes, 1 year on paper, but in actual fact, in real terms, it's only about 4 or 5 months in all the states. And I can tell you straight away that it has been very helpful to the people in the states where they're operating. I mean, in Ekiti, in Ondo, they have recorded a lot of success stories, rescuing kidnapped victims, arresting kidnappers or illegal miners in some of the states like Osho. You see, when it was set up, we said the role is going to be complementary to the police. Not that they are taking over policing duties completely, right. No. But complement the efforts of the police. Right. So it's success stories, yes, and the people in the states are commending their efforts.
Right, okay.
Okay, so this delay that you talked about, did it help in resolving some of the controversies around Amotekun? Remember, the Attorney General had said it was illegal and that it was also illegal. The IG at the time had said they will arrest Amotekun members seen with illegal weapons and all of that. So those controversies that we heard and read about be resolved so that they're fit and good to go now?
Yeah, well, I can say straight, again, I can say that the controversies have been resolved. You see, it's because we tend to bring politics into so many things in Nigeria. Security has nothing to do with politics. So when it was conceived and about to start, there was a lot of brouhaha all over the country that, oh, maybe they are starting a separate army or a secessionist army. But as they can see now, the fears are being allayed that this is purely a security outfit for the states in Western Nigeria. So for every law-abiding citizen, Amotekun is there to help, to protect. So, and I'm sure with all the states also passing laws to back up their activities, the fears of Attorney General Malami has been allayed. This is a federal country, don't forget that. Right. Security cannot just be the purview of the federal. Mm-hmm. It can't. Yeah.
All right, sir. In recent times, Amotekun has been making the rounds on social media and in the papers, and in a negative light, so to speak. Though sometimes they come out and they explain what has really happened, but people are just scared that if care is not taken, it may start leading into what we knew as SARS before. Now, my question to you is, what sort of trainings have you put in place to ensure that you keep taking them from time to time so that they remember the reason that they are in that outfit?
That's a very germane question, and I can assure you that the training of Amotekun officers is a continuous process. The states have their training on a continuous basis. We tend to tell, I mean, what we sent out to all the states when it was conceptualized from our offices at Dawn Commission, we said something that all the Amotekun core members must extol what we call the Omoluabi values, that the ethics and values of an Omoluabi, as we say in Yoruba land. We don't want them to, as someone said yesterday, that this should not be another SARS. It can't be another SARS because the laws are there that set it up, and for anyone, for any erring or anyone that goes out of bounds or steps out of the direction put in place for the operations of the security network will be taken out. We are mindful of the fact that this is more or less a novel outfit in this country, and people are watching. So we can't afford to make any silly mistake. They are being monitored like a hawk. The commanders are, and the good thing I can assure you is that even the commanders speak to themselves on a regular basis. Peer learning. So what happens in Ekiti, the Ondo man can easily tap into how they tackled issues in their states. So we are mindful of the fact that people are watching and we cannot afford to make that mistake. So the training is continuous process. It's not just train them and put them in the streets. No.
Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have the DG Dawn, that's Development for Western Nigeria, Mr. Sheye Oyeleye with us. Mr. Oyeleye, we that live in the Southwest, we can't but notice that Lagos State seems somewhat maybe not totally aligned with Amotekun, because I've not seen Amotekun in Lagos, and we only hear Ekiti, Ondo, and other states. In your view, is that the real perception? Is that perception correct? Is Lagos State really totally completely aligned with Amotekun? And if they are, why are we not seeing so many of them here on Lagos Road? Is it because we have the other security outfits like the Neighborhood Watch and all that? What's the situation with Lagos State?
Well, Lagos State is fully aligned with the goals and aspirations of development in Western Nigeria, and I would say clearly that we always say that without security there can be no development. If you go out of your state to the outside world trying to attract investors, the moment they know you have an insecure environment, there's nothing you can say, they won't come. So Lagos is fully aligned to the goals, and as I said earlier in my introduction, Lagos is about to launch. You did say that, is it because they have other security apparatuses like the Neighborhood Watch, and just last week they launched the constabulary. But I can assure you that their own Amotekun will take off shortly. I'm suspecting that from my feelers, it might be starting in February. But they are ready. All I know is that they're actually going to be using some of the existing security people. They will take part of them to form the Amotekun security outfit. But yes, Lagos is fully on board.
Right, okay.
Okay, so there's a tweet at Bisman Love says, I was in Ibadan some days back, and what a patrol team of Amotekun did was so wrong. It seems they are now being used to oppress as long as you know a leader of the group. Can you address that, sir?
Can I just add my question to that, because it was going to be in line with that tweet, which is, you spoke about training earlier on, but what is the process if you have a complaint against a particular Amotekun group or personnel? What would a regular person, what are the steps that a person needs to take? Which offices do they need to go to? Who do they need to call to make a complaint?
What would the consequence be? Aside, letting go, would the person be made to face the law?
Absolutely. You see, again, in the laws that set up Amotekun in each state, there are sanctions for, as I keep saying, erring Amotekun core officers. This is not just going to be the normal security apparatus. As I said, we know the world is watching us. So if you look at Amotekun in each of the states, the commanders, their numbers are meant to be published. Each coordinator in the local governments have their numbers. I can tell you for free that in Oyo State, as an example, they have the numbers of all the coordinators in each of the local governments, which are public. The commander himself, Colonel Olayinka in Oyo State, his number is all over the place. Everybody has his number, and very accessible. So things can easily be reported to him. Now you said, what you raise is in Ibadan, you're thinking that, will they be used, or are they being used by
Twitter,
political heavyweights to, are they being used by political heavyweights?
Yes.
I don't know. You see, what I would just say is this, not defending anyone, but for an outfit like this that started off slightly controversial, it's going to have teething problems. You're going to have fifth columnists who are going to try and hijack the process. But I can tell you that those who are heading the Amotekun in Oyo State in particular, they are very professional people who would not allow that to happen. And please, if you hear anything of such, after this program, I can give you the commander's number in Oyo State. I'll give you. Easily accessible, you can speak with him. The man is a very professional retired army officer. He won't allow that. He won't allow that. Yes, I know that. Sorry?
Okay, I hear what you said, but you know, the issue around brutality by, you know, law enforcement agents was so serious that I would love that you give us a roadmap as to how it's addressed. So when we see a Nigerian police officer now, I personally, the first thing I do is look on their uniform or a last agent for their names. So I know them by their names. Yeah. When I need to report, I know exactly where I would report. And I would like to know what the rule is under the law, the Amotekun law, for instance, in Oyo State, since you have the Oyo State perfectly, you are very much informed about that state, about how such high-handedness would be addressed. Yep. So would that person just be let go or be made to face whether there's, you know, a panel or something within them, and at the end, would that person be made to face the law so that I have confidence in the system?
Let me give you an example, even using the Oyo State example. Was it last week that they said that an Amotekun officer shot a policeman who was not in uniform? The man was handed over to the police, and I'm sure that what I know is that at the moment, the man is going through the normal prosecuting processes with the police. You see, if anyone is caught misbehaving, they will be sanctioned and then handed over to the police. It's as simple as that. So the one that was caught, that was said, even though they said it was an accidental thing, but at least it's been handed over straight to the police. They are the ones who will investigate. You see, this is not going to be another free-for-all or illegal operation or illegal outfits. We are mindful, and I keep saying this, that people are watching. So any slight infraction would the authorities in all the states would come down heavily. This can't be abused. If this fails, it's the whole of Western Nigeria that fails. Right. And don't forget that other regions are also angling to have their own security outfits. Nigerian police alone can no longer solve the problem on the challenges of security we are facing. 200 million population growing every day. So they need all the help. It is that help that the Western Nigeria Security Network has come to provide. Let me get a few more questions in for you. And we will make sure, ensure that the people working there are of higher standards. Right. It's important. And I agree that your fares must always be allayed.
Right. All right, so in the papers this morning, the Amotekun in Oyo State dispelled the rumors that they had clashes between them and the Fulani headsmen. And in explanation, they talked about the fact that the Fulani headsmen, a few of them, and their own Mieti Allah, yes, supported the raid that they had, because even the kidnappers were kidnapping Fulani headsmen as well. Now, I want to ask you, what sort of support has Amotekun been getting from the locals? Are they working hand in hand? Because hearing that news that Mieti Allah was a part of their rescue mission in Oyo State seemed like there was a form of support. So what sort of support do they gather outside Oyo State and other states that they are functional?
You see, policing, we say this all the time, that policing has to be local. All policing is local. One of the challenges of policing we have in Nigeria is that you go very far away, 3,000 kilometers away, and bring a police officer to a region that he does not speak the language or understand the culture. Policing is local. For you to get the local cooperation, you must be able to understand their culture, probably most likely speak their language. And what the Amotekun people have realized is that because they are recruited from the locality, a lot of the people are giving them this full support. I'll cite an instance. When there was a case of kidnapping in Ekiti, in a particular part of Ekiti, when a man was kidnapped, the locals supported the Amotekun officers who went into the forest to identify where most likely these people will be. So that was what happened with the case in Oyo State, where over the weekend, they worked hand in gloves with the Mieti Allah. You see, Okeogun is a peculiar place in Oyo State where this thing happened. It's a peculiar place. A lot of those, even the Fulanis who live in Okeogun, some of them have been there for 50 years plus. They're part and parcel of that community. You wouldn't even know the difference. So working with them is not strange. It's even natural for them to work with the Miyetti Allah group in that part for them to be able to identify the bad eggs or those who are not herders but are there for other things. So they enjoy the cooperation of the locals, and that's the essence of local policing.
So as we round up very shortly, we'd like to ask you concerning issues of funding. Many people living in the Southwest are happy that Amotekun is there, at least as a support for the police, but we also want concern about how much equipment do they have, all the requirements that they need to do their jobs effectively. How is funding going on with Amotekun, and where do you get your money from, and how else are you trying to raise funds to support the men on the front lines?
At the moment, the Amotekun is funded by the individual states from their security votes, but the plans are afoot. In fact, they are far gone in expanding the scope of funding, whereby the private sector will be brought in through the existing security trust fund. The states alone, as you rightly noted, cannot just do this. Security is an expensive venture, and I'm sure that, as I said, through the security trust funds that the states have, the private sector will be brought in to fund. And that's the long-term solution to funding.
Okay, so I know you are the DG of DAWN, Development of Western Nigeria. As we wrap up, could you tell us exactly what that is about and what your plans are? I mean, the whole country is talking about restructuring, true federalism. What's the position of Southwestern Nigeria concerning these issues of restructuring and true federalism?
Well, as I see, when we talk of Nigeria, at the moment, we argue that what we are running is what we call is a quasi-federal state, or in real terms, what we are running is a unitary state. In the properly federal structure, we won't even be talking about is there a need for Amotekun, because it will be clear that because we run a federal system, we need to devolve a lot of powers to the states. The reason DAWN was set up, as an example, is the understanding and realization that development has to come from bottom up. What we've been doing for 60 years in Nigeria, or probably 55 years since the military came in '66, is we think that we can just decree a one-size-fits-all type of development. It doesn't work, and that has been our challenge over the years. And that is why now people are saying we need to restructure a country where everyone feels that the resources are equitably distributed and everyone belongs. At the moment, the reason you are having all these challenges all over the country cannot be removed. It cannot be far removed from the fact that some people feel left out. They don't feel they belong. Let us restructure economically, politically. I mean, the colonial masters that left us, they gave us a system that worked. I'm not saying the present system is not working, but it can be far better if we now have a restructured country, as I said, along economic lines, along political lines.
Right.
Power will be devolved. There's too much power concentrated in Abuja. Too much.
All right,
power
we have to run, but I hear there's a
Abuja.
tweet for you.
It's a nonsense.
Yeah, Nima, you have a tweet.
Andrew in StarTimes says, some people in Amotekun are beginning to behave as if not just a place where I can come collect salary. Amotekun shape up and become effective. Is that correct? Are some people laxing on their duties?
Again, as I said, it depends. Amotekun is run individually in states, and they will have that teething problems from the onset. But I can assure you that things like this people like that will be found out and weeded out. We are still at the initial stages, and it can't be 100% perfect from day one.
All right, we're wishing you
the man that sets the street.
All right, we're wishing you the best, sir. I mean, we are all hopeful.
Thank you.
Because I know Southwest is trying to put out their own outfit also. We wish you all the best. Southeast also is trying to put their own outfit together. So at least once we have that local policing, people feel somewhat safer in their various regions. Thank you very much, Mr. Sheye Oyeleye, for joining us this morning. That's all we can take on this show today. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.